Welcome back to Faith Street, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Cindy here with a candy cane theme for our last Sunday before Christmas 2020. So, first I'm going to start with a story. I know usually I like to start with a song, but this time we're going to switch it up and I'm going to end with a song. All right? So you can look forward to that. We're going to start with a story, then a little art project, and then a song. All right? So let's get to the story and then I'll tell you what we need for our art project. It's not very many items. All right. So first, the story. And this story is called J is for Jesus. It is by Chrystal Bowman and the art is by Gaudine Gervy. And I don't have the book, I'm sorry to say, but I did get it on my Google Play so I can read it to you. And I have some fun little props that I can show you along the way. It's really short, but it is perfect for our lesson today. So are you ready? Get cozy, and here we go. J is for Jesus, the sweetest story ever told. One snowy day in the middle of town, families gathered from miles around, for something was new at the candy store, something that no one had seen before. The candy maker was eager to share his holiday treat with everyone there. He held up a red and white peppermint stick. The children all wanted to give it a lick. I don't blame them. I made this candy, he explained that day. I shaped it to look like the letter J. J is for Jesus, God's Son sent to earth. And Christmas is when we celebrate his birth. But when I turned the candy around to make the letter go upside down, it looks like a staff that the shepherds used. They were the first to hear the good news. See my cute little Snoopy shepherd? As the shepherds were watching their sheep that night, the sky was filled with heavenly light. Angels appeared and started to sing, "Glory to God, the newborn King." Here's my little angel. This one's not singing. It's playing a little flute. I bet you some of those did that too. And there in the town where Jesus was born, the shepherds found him, all cozy and warm. Their hearts were filled with wonder and joy as they knelt beside the baby boy. I added the stripes to remember the day that Jesus washed all our sins away. He died on a cross, his blood was shed, and that's why the stripes are bold and red. So I have my little cross ornament too. The white in the candy is there to show that when we're forgiven, I bet you know this one, we are white as snow. Jesus was born to save us from sin, to make us holy and clean within. I wanted to share this story with you so Jesus can be your Savior too. Please tell the story to everyone and give thanks to God for the gift of his Son. Isn't that a great book? I love it. So I thought it would be fun. I know you have this little candy cane craft in your packet, like I said, but I thought it would be fun if we draw a little candy cane together, and then we can add a little baby Jesus in this little crook of the J, and maybe you want to hang it on your door or give it away as a little gift to your grandma or maybe to a neighbor that doesn't know about Jesus so that you can share the story. So for this, you're going to need a few things. You're going to need some white paper so we can make our candy cane, and you're going to need some crayons, of course. For the baby, I used a little piece of blue, and I know he probably didn't have a blue blanket, but I think it shows up nicely on our white and red candy cane. So a little piece of blue scrap paper, or you can even draw or color him his blanket, whatever color you like. I picked a tan color for his face, again, so we can see it nicely, but any face color would do. And then a color for the hay to kind of show his little manger, right? The hay in the manger. Of course, you're gonna need some scissors and glue. And like I said, something to draw with, markers, crayons, whatever you need. So grab your supplies, press pause, and then come on back here with your supplies and we'll get started. All right, welcome back. So I'm gonna show you how to draw this J candy cane. Really easy. And probably some of you are like, oh, Mrs. Cindy, I know how to do that. But I'm just gonna show you in case somebody isn't so sure. So I'm going to start at the top of my page, kind of on the side because a J is so big at the bottom and it kind of comes all the way over. So I'm going to start over here. All right. And I got to move my little baby Jesus away for a second. So I'm going to start over on the side of my page and I'm just going to go straight down. And when I get toward the bottom, I'm just going to curve it over like a letter U. All right. So there we have our J. Now to make the bubble letter J, I'm going to give a little sad face on top, a little curved line on top. And then I'm going to use that spot to come straight down. And I'm just going to follow this line that's called parallel because they're right the same distance away from each other all the way down and curve it all the way around. So I'm going to start right here, and it might not be perfect because I'm using a marker I can't erase, but I'm just going to go down about the same far distance apart, this far apart each step of the way. When I get down to the curve, I'm going to also curve, and I'm just going to keep going until I get up to this line here, and then I'm going to add again another curve on top, or like a little sad face. So that's pretty good. It's not perfect, but that's all right. Nothing is perfect really. So hopefully you can see my J. Let me move my Mrs. Cindy out of the way and I will pull it up a tiny bit because it looks like it might not be showing all the way to the bottom. We don't want that. We want you to be able to see what's up. Is that better? All right, so there's our J. And if you want to make this into a little ornament like I did, I used poster board. So that helps, or cardstock would be great. All right. For the stripes, a lot of kids ask me how to make these stripes really look like candy canes. Now you can make them just go straight, but candy canes actually, the stripes are kind of diagonal and they curve with the candy cane. So I'm going to start at the top and I'm just going to make my first nice fat 2 diagonal lines. And I'm going to color them in right away. You can tell I have paper under there, so it's looking a little bit silly, but that's okay. And then a lot of times candy canes have these little skinny lines in between, so I'm going to just draw a couple of diagonal skinny lines. I did 3. And then I'm going to make another big wide one. And see, I'm still going diagonally. All right. All right, and then I'm going to make my 3 little skinny ones diagonal and these nice big wide red lines because there's always the wide ones too, right? And if you don't want to make the skinny ones, you don't have to, but it does kind of look nice, doesn't it? So 3 skinny ones again next to each other. And now my wide one is actually curving around. So if I look at this one, right, it's kind of coming from here and then it kind of curves like a C or a U, right? So I'm going to let it curve around and then I'm going to color it again. So it's wrapping around the candy cane and we can't see it because we're drawing this 2-dimensional version, but see how it kind of curves around? All right, and then my 3 are gonna also curve. And now I'm gonna curve it this way because it's still wrapping all the way around. And honestly, you can do it any which way. All right, now I'm gonna make my 3 go this way because it's wrapping around. And my final one up here is also kind of curving. All right. And if you want, you can kind of add that top one on there. So we made our candy cane nice and striped. And we added this little curve here to make it look like it's wrapping around my candy cane. And if you don't want to, or that's just too tricky, you can make your stripes straight. You might find a better way. So that's fine too. All right, so there we go. We have our curvy candy cane. And actually, this one probably should have gone this way. But that's okay. Next, we're gonna work on baby Jesus. And for baby Jesus, I'm gonna take my little tiny tan piece and I'm just gonna make it into a circle. And I don't know if you've seen me before, but I like to start with a square when I'm making a circle. You can draw it on there, but I like to just cut off the corners and turn my paper. All right, cut off this corner, turn my paper. So I'm just turning it as I cut, and it makes it a pretty good circle. And to be honest, nobody's head is perfect, so don't worry about that. So there's my little baby Jesus head, and you can add eyes and a cute little curly hair if you want to. For this one, I'm going to use a rectangle, and I'm going to actually make it a little smaller. Same thing. I'm going to start at the corner. I'm going to cut that off, and I'm going to make this a nice big oval because I want him to look all snuggled in to his little swaddling clothes, they call it, like baby blanket. All right, so let's see if it fits. What do you think? Is that a cute little baby Jesus? I think so. So I'm going to use my glue to put his little head in his little blanket so they don't get separated anymore. And there he is. All right, those guys are good. Now, I thought this part was a little tricky, but I cut a whole bunch of really skinny strips for my hay. So I'm going to do that again. And they're kind of long. That's okay. We're going to cut them in half in a minute. So I don't know, as many as you like. And I did mine first to try it out, and I didn't really like how that turned out. So I'm going to show you, I think, a better way. That's one reason to try things a couple of times, you know, like riding your bike. You don't learn it in the first time, right? You have to try it a couple times. And I bet you the candy maker who made this wonderful treat also had to try a couple of times, right? Because he didn't want it to break, right? Like candy canes sometimes do. So the first time I did this, I put the hay on and then I put the baby on, and I realized the hay is not even showing. It's just a big lump underneath him. So this time, I'm gonna glue just the middle of baby Jesus so that I can poke the hay in. How clever am I, right? So let's try that. I'm gonna put him kind of sideways in this little J. And remember, only the middle is glued on my baby. So now I can tuck in the hay. Remember I said I want to chop my hay in half. So now I think I can stick the hay in wherever I want and it will show. See, I can poke it in there. I think that will look really, really nice. All right. And I can always put some glue under it once it's in its place. All right. And if any of it's too long, what could I do? Right, give it a little haircut, right? Give it a little trim. Okay, and hay doesn't lay perfectly, so I'm gonna lay mine kind of crooked like, and then just press it down under the baby. Hopefully this makes a less lumpy bed for him this time, because last one was really bad. All right, there he is so far. Oops, I'm losing some hay. This is tricky. You might have to experiment too, a little bit. All right. You think it's working, boys and girls? Or not so much? All right, that was plan B. What if I take it off and carefully, and we try plan C? What if we glue the hay to the back of baby Jesus and then put it on? Let's try that. Sometimes you run into trouble along the way, just like Lucy Pevensey. I just watched The Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe on Disney, and that's what they said. We ran into some trouble along the way, right? You remember hearing Miss Michelle read that amazing book, right there. So let's see if that works better. The other two ways didn't so much. All right, so I'm putting hay on the back of baby Jesus's blanket, and hopefully this is the solution we were hoping for. And notice they're kind of all going different ways because I want the hay to look like it's, you know, messy, like a manger. All right. All right, so I have my hay stuck to the back of baby Jesus. That looks a little bit better, right? And now I'm gonna do a little bit on the bottom. Coming off the bottom, how's that? And remember, if it doesn't look so great, I can always give it a little haircut and that will look good, I think. All right, so there is the hay. I'm gonna snip it and be done with this hay. And I'm gonna snip it all different lengths so it looks kind of jaggedy. All right, like hay. Poor baby. I wish he could have been born in a much nicer place, don't you? Goodness. All right, there he goes. So there's our baby Jesus. I didn't expect to run into those problems. I thought I solved it, but that's okay. Now I'm gonna put his little sweet curl. I don't know if baby Jesus did have curly hair. I'm gonna put two tiny little eyes, a button nose, and just a tiny little mouth. And then with my crayons, I could give him some nice pink cheeks, right? And I could even color his hair. What do you think? Maybe a little bit of brown to finish him off. Okay, there you go, boys and girls. And then of course, if you do want to cut it out, if you use cardboard or cardstock, just pop a hole in here with a hole punch, easy peasy, and put a little string or a loop on it. Or if you have a little ornament hook, that would be great too. All right, so the song kind of goes with the story too. The very last page of this story says, "Please tell the story to everyone and give thanks to God for the gift of his son." So it reminded me of the Christmas song, "Go tell it on the mountains, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born." Sing it with me this time. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. All right, Merry Christmas, boys and girls. Have fun with your little candy cane activity. And I really hope and pray that we'll be together again soon on Faith Street in person at church in 2021. Bye-bye now.